What's up, man?
What's going on, Tim?
Hoping we could right the ship
Yeah,
um
rough
this
week.
week. Yeah, I don't even think. Have you ever heard the expression no spit, no lube, sandpaper finish?
Oh, I've heard it. I know
Yeah,
what it
well,
means.
yeah. Well, that's the kind of weekend it was.
Yeah, I won a single bet on the weekend, and I think I had 8 bets. So it was tough nonetheless. But new card, pay per view here, title fight. Got a few
Yeah.
shots here, so chances to right the ship and chances to see some banger fights too. We got a little down under action, baby.
I know. And just so I can get this out of the way, I already put in Australian round robin.
Oh man.
So I don't know why I didn't do it for this last card in France, especially after seeing um, the Canadian card where they just caught fire. I think some of those it doesn't hurt, so we'll see what happens. I strongly believe if it's a close fight and it goes to the judges, I feel like they got that home field advantage. They're gonna lean a little bit because of the crowd pop. So
I
I already
agree.
put it. I already put it in. So
We saw, France last weekend
they
looked
they
fucking great.
crushed it.
Yeah, man. Saint Denis absolutely murdered Thiago Moises. Blew me away. I
Yeah,
didn't expect that.
yeah. There's a lot of things on that card I didn't expect, but it's hey, these are fist fights, man,
Yeah.
and at the highest level. And the only thing we could do is try and find a slight edge. But yeah, it's 50-50. This is high class. One shot can change the whole outcome of a fight.
The cool thing to remember too is we were crushing it for like 2 months there, and we were withdrawing shit from DraftKings for a while there. We were one fight away from hitting, I think it was twice. We were one fight away from almost hitting the full card or 10 leg parlays.
Yeah,
So we were there. We just had one bad card, and I think this week we'll have a dog of the week. We'll have a lock of the week. And for me personally, I'm feeling pretty solid. I got one single heavy bet for this card, and then a couple smaller ones. But I'm talking Sean O'Malley size bets, which Sean O'Malley was my biggest bet of the year. I see on Twitter people talk like max bet and shit. I don't know. I just put money on him, and Sean O'Malley I had a lot of money on.
yeah,
And this week we've got another guy with a lot of money, but we'll see. Should we start at the bottom this week? I didn't really like starting
yeah.
at the top
I,
last week.
yeah, I know. I didn't either, and that was the worst performance we've ever had.
We
No,
fucked
no
up the
more starting at
juju.
the top. We
Yeah,
did. We did. I don't know. I don't know why we. You know what? I know why we did it. Because switch it up. We tried it. I didn't like it. You didn't like it. But hey, it's a no thank you bite. You know what I mean? Try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it again.
exactly. All right.
So right off the rip here, this is not that big of a card, fight wise. I'm not talking names, but there's only 12 fights on this card.
Yeah, and a lot of them
So
are smaller names.
I think this card feels a little kind of like they slapped it together.
Feels like a fight
Um,
night.
it does, it does with Izzy at the helm, and I think that was I don't know the promotion for it wasn't all that good. Um, but nonetheless, here we are, and we're starting it off with Kevin Gisette versus Kiefer Crosby.
Big Daddy from
Big
Ireland.
Dad.
He's from
Yeah,
SBG.
I know. Listen, these Irish guys are killing me. They're killing me.
Yeah.
Um, but this is Gisette is a city kickboxing guy, so he's expat from France now in Australia, or is that New Zealand over at City Kickboxing. So none of these fights really do it for me. But just for the gym's sake, um, I don't have him in my Australia parlay, but I think this should be a pretty easy win for Giuseppe, especially. I mean, his first time in the UFC. He is a little bit younger, um, but this kid, Big Daddy Kiefer Crosby. I mean, he's already had a shot at Bellator. Um, I think he won maybe one out of three fights in Bellator, but then he's fighting back on the regional scene and stuff like that. I I really have no interest in this fight. Giuseppe is the favorite, but even still, man, I think this is a near pick'em. So if I had to, I would take Giuseppe, but I think we're just gonna see some nice finishes and getting us up to the main card.
Yeah, this is just a big hard pass for me. We saw Crosby, old Big Daddy, got a finish over Alex Oliveira, but Alex Oliveira, I mean,
It was
over the
100.
hump. Yeah, he's 100 with 101 kids. And Crosby, like you said, he had his chance at Bellator. He fucked it up. He's 33 years old, so he's not really putting together any new skill sets at this point. So I'm gonna go with Giuseppe here. He's coming off of 3 wins. He's 8-2. He's at City Kickboxing, and after last weekend, I think being a Frenchman in the UFC helps you out a little bit. So Giuseppe for me, but again, I just think it's a shitty fight to bet on. So if you're looking for a bet, I would just save your money. Go somewhere else.
Yeah, is Crosby? I didn't look into it. Has he always been at SBG? I don't know if
I think
we
he
can
has
find that,
been. Yeah, I think
or
he has been.
or is this like a Johnny Walker,
I don't think
you know,
so. I don't think so.
transfer name?
Let's look and
Hmm.
see. No, I'm pretty sure. Ooh, he has a loss to Mike Jackson. That's pretty bad. I
Yeah,
think I don't know if
I
we can
mean,
look into it, but I
he
think
was
he has
he was
been.
doing he was doing okay in Bellator up until that Mike Jackson fight. He had two wins, but we're talking 2018, 2019.
Yeah, when he
Um,
was 28.
yeah, yeah. I mean, listen. I mean, his amateur record is all over the place. Um, he's 5-5 as an amateur.
That's crazy. Yeah, you're probably not going to
He's,
win many UFC fights when you're 5-5 as an amateur.
yeah. He fought old cowboy Oliveira. Aaron Chalmers, that was he fought him recently in a exhibition boxing. I mean, I don't know. He just did that. I don't know why he was doing that, but
Dude's all over the place, to be honest.
yeah, to me it doesn't make sense to me. But hey, to each their own. Hopefully we'll just see some action. We'll see a good fight. But yeah, I have no interest on any of the lines. Um, I will be interested to see how Gisette does. To see if
Me
we can.
too. I think he's the better prospect of the two.
I know, but at 30 years old, fighting, I don't know, man. 30-year-old welterweight. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess it's not too bad, but
It's the bottom.
but to
It's the
me,
bottom fight for a reason. I mean, who knows?
yeah.
Either of them go anywhere. Probably not. But
Well, that's the whole thing. He's a city kickboxing guy. So
yeah,
it's almost like I said, when they kind of put this card together, it's like shit, we need some fighters. Who's in, who's in your gym that could fight in September?
And it's an attempt at a showcase too, because a lot of these city kickboxing guys are fighting people that they shouldn't be fighting. Like
Yeah,
there's a couple that are fighting people way better than them, and there's a couple that are fighting people not as good as them. So
yeah.
who fucking knows? But second fight on the card, Shane Young, Gabriel Miranda. Shane Young coming off of 3 losses. Blake Builder, Omar Morales, and Ludovic Klein. Honestly, all 3 of them are okay. They're decent.
Yeah.
Um, Gabriel Miranda coming off that loss to Benoit Saint Denis, who we know is a dog. And before that, he was on the regional scene. This is interesting. It's an interesting fight for me. I think this is another one that I'm not very interested in betting. Let me check the updated odds. Yeah, Shane Young is minus 160 right now, so pretty similar to what it was. I don't really like Shane Young all that much, but I think that gap gets bridged with him being a city kickboxing guy fighting in his backyard here. Gabriel Miranda, I'm not the biggest fan of. 33 years old, not showing us much in his last fight against Benoit Saint Denis, but Benoit Saint Denis is a dog. I think, for the sake of a pick, I'll probably take Miranda here. To be completely honest, I'll take Miranda here. Not confident at all, though. It's strictly just a pick for this. Kind of fading Shane Young and his weird nipple hair. If you see that picture, dude, he's got like a beard on his nipple in his Tapology picture here. So I'll fade Shane Young. Don't love Gabriel Miranda, but that's the pick for me.
Um, this is starting the Aussie parlay for me. I'm on Shane Young. The only loss that I'm really, and when I say Aussie, just to clarify,
Yeah, they'd get
um,
mad at you.
Australian. If you're from Australia or New Zealand, just for this instance, I'm going to refer to it as the Aussie parlay. So Australian New Zealand parlay. This is the first one. I'm going to take Shane Young. I'm not a fan of the Blake Builder loss,
Yeah, Builder
right?
was a dud.
Morales though is a whole nother story, and Suo is Ludovic Klein. Um, City kickboxing. He's a finisher. I think, and like you said, he's in his own backyard. He's a little bit of the shorter guy here. Um, what weight is this going at?
This will be at 145.
145. So Miranda just fought at 155. So yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to see how he does cutting the weight and stuff like that. And see what his chin's like. I like Shen Young here. I think, granted, he's had 3 losses, but they're giving, like you said, they're giving him. This guy's had one fight in the UFC. It was Benoit Saint Denis. He got stopped. But before that, he was on the Fight the Danger circuit, whatever the hell that is.
It's where you fight the
Um,
danger, Tim.
yeah. Um, and he's just his mustache is killing me. So
That thing's
I'm gonna go.
competition level there,
Yeah,
dude.
no, that's fugazi competition. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Shane Young to start the night off in that round robin that I got. City kickboxing in Australia. Um, a lot of support from his team. I think he's gonna get it done. I think he's gonna get it done, and I'm curious to see how Miranda looks on the scales, especially dropping down. Um, has Miranda even fought at
I think he
at
has. I think his normal weight
155?
class was 145. Let me check here. Um, actually, I can't seem to. I don't know where. It,
Yeah, I mean,
I think he has. I want to say I think he has. Oh, dude, this is a little sus. One of his fights in Face the Danger uh, is just titled a win. It doesn't even have a decision, knockout, submission. It just says win. It's a little funky.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, he
fight the
has fought at
danger, man.
145. He fought at 145 pretty much half of his fights before the UFC. It was, but he bounced between 145 and 155.
Yeah. So this is the UFC. This isn't a place where you bounce up and down when you're 16-6.
Yeah,
So uh, going up, yeah, I could see that, but to go up to come back down when you're not established, um, I think it's going to be too much. I think Shane Young's going to get it done. So I'm happy to start the card off with that. Like I said, that's just a round robin. That's just a piece of something that uh, isn't, I wouldn't take him straight up or for a finish.
cool. All right. Next one here, baby. Mike Mathetha. I always feel like I'm Mike Tyson when I say that. Mike Mathetha. I don't know.
It's
Blood Diamond is his nickname. And we're just going to be completely honest. This guy fucking sucks. This guy is bad at fighting. I watched both of his UFC losses today just because I was trying to talk myself into a plus 250 shot on Blood Diamond here. Um, and I think honestly he's in the UFC because he gets beat up by Israel Adesanya every day. But who knows? And we have Chuck Buffalo on the other side, and I just think maybe Chuck Buffalo is gonna grab onto him, sit on him, win a decision, maybe submit him in the third or something. But
Yeah, this is that same thing. I mean, this is, Charlie Radke making a UFC debut, heavy favorite. Um, he's got three of his last four wins are finishes. Blood Diamond. I mean, he's Jeremiah Wells. Okay, I can understand that. But before that, he's like a decision. Uh, three. Two of his last four has gone to decision. He's won one. He's lost one. He's just not. And now he's on this skid. They're trying to say thanks for coming out, Blood Diamond, but no, thank you. So this is not. I have no desire. This is what I'm talking about. This card was kind of just slapped together. Like I don't even like this. I would put this on the early prelims.
this might be on Fight Pass, dude. This might
This is
belong
on
on.
regular.
This might belong in
This
the LFA, dude.
Yeah, we're talking. His last one was in against Dimp Gillies. That's the last time Blood Diamond's got a win. I mean, what are we doing here? Why? Who's sanctioning these fights?
Yeah,
You
bro.
know, listen. Love the UFC. They got to put these shows on, and with everything that's been going on, with holding out for cards, we don't know what's going on in December. We don't know when Usman's gonna fight. We don't know, or not Usman. Edwards is gonna fight. We don't know when if Connor's gonna fight in December, or Cheeto and Sean, or Yuri and Alex. So, I mean, they could have really stacked this card up. Um, but given all of that stuff, they kind of just threw this one together, man. It really is disappointing. Um, at least at this section of the card. Especially coming off of July. I'm still riding that high, I think, from July. I think that's the problem.
July was nuts, man. The other thing I don't get to is Valentina and Grasso is a fight night headliner. next week. And why is that not the co here? We have Tai Tuivasa and Volkov as the co. Why not throw in Valentina and Grasso and at least make this card a little top heavy? Because then you've got Justin Tafa opening up the main card, which isn't great. But then you got Manel Kape, which everyone's excited to see. Tai Tuivasa, everyone's excited to see. Valentina Grasso, who everyone is, we're excited to see how Valentina bounces back. And then you top it off with Israel Adesanya. That's a pay-per-view that'll probably sell a below average number. This is going to sell a ground level number of pay-per-views. I don't think
Yeah.
they're going to sell fucking anything here.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, if they put Valentina on this card, it wouldn't make a difference in sales.
Yeah, fair
Let's
enough.
let's
To the hard
let's be
fan, it does, but not sales.
yeah, but those people are going to be the same people buying it anyway. You know what I
True.
mean? If you're buying it for this card, if you're going to spend however much money, $80 for this card, if if I wasn't you know a fight fan and somebody's like, oh, they put Valentina on the card with Izzy, it's not gonna be like, oh, now I'm gonna buy the card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like the fight night with her on it. It gives her her own showcase, but this is kind of just
Yeah,
and
dude.
they don't
This.
even have your guy on here, Bobby Sleepy Time, right? What's his
Hey,
name? Robert,
you
Robert
shut
Whitaker.
your fucking mouth before Yuri knocks out your boy Alex. Alex won't even be coming back to Connecticut, man. He'll be stuck in. He'll be dragged to the woods in fucking Poland. We won't even see him for 2 years.
Oh,
Once
Bobby
Yuri
Sleepy.
takes him to the dark valley of his, I don't know what I'm saying anymore, but we've got to move on here. This one is going to be super short from me, Tim. I think the prospects on The Ultimate Fighter all were awful. And
Yeah.
I think Nasrat has been in the UFC, has UFC caliber wins, has been in there with guys like Bobby Green, Dan Hooker, and then, Rafa Garcia is not half bad. So I'm taking Nasrat here. I think he just cruises to a victory, and I think it's pretty easy. It could be a decision depending on Quinonez's chin on the feet. Could be a knockout. I don't really care. I don't care to really even bet on this at all. So Nasrat for me, I think he makes it look fairly easy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. If you look at who Landon Quinones, his main gym's at Killcliff. Which anytime you have Henry Hooft as your striking coach, um, that always makes me curious to see how these guys perform. But if I'm not mistaken, on the Ultimate Fighter, he got stopped real quick, right?
By
Jason
Brandon
Knight.
Knight. Jason Knight, sorry. Jason Knight.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, Jason Knight. So I don't know if it was the nerves. He kind of just had like a mental blip and made a mistake. Um, but this is a tough fight. I'm surprised they're giving him this fight for his first shot in the UFC. So I don't think he is going to be able to make the slightest mistakes. Now, was it because he was fighting in front of Connor and Chandler and Dana White that he got nervous and kind of just had the blip? But Nasserat is he's pretty legit, man.
For
And
real.
he's got almost double the experience that Landon has. Um, I'm curious to see how he does. I want to see how he looks, but I think Nasserat should handle him no problem, and I think Nasserat is gonna look a lot bigger as well.
Yeah, Nasrat's a cool prospect, not really talked about much. He's 28 years old. He has like that um, the beginning of the career that looks good. He had a few wins in the UFC. He lost to, I mean, he beat Mark Diakise and then Joaquim Silva. And then he lost to Drew Dober, Dan Hooker, and Bobby Green, which are all dogs. So he's got that,
Yeah.
he's got a chance to really turn his career around here the next 4 years until you're about 32. That's when that transition really happens, is 28 to 32. So it's gonna be fun to watch him. I think he's gonna extend his winning streak of one win to two wins here, and I think it'll be pretty clean.
Yeah, I think he should be in good shape. He's a big dude, man. I think he's gonna be a lot size wise. I think he's almost gonna look like a welterweight. I think compared to Landon. So we'll see. I mean, the chalk it's heavy favorite for Nasserat, but
Yep,
I'm not touching anything on this one either. But we'll see. Hopefully, Landon Canones can prove us wrong, um, and get it together. But that's a tough ask, man. That's a real tough ask for that to be your debut fight.
I agree, 110%, dude. What have you got for Malarkey versus John the Bull Makdessi?
Okay, Jamie Mularkey. This is my step two in the round robin. Um, Even though um, Malarkey got stopped, he got knocked out. Um, that guy that he fought, Muhammad Naimov, I believe is how you pronounce his name.
Yep.
That guy is a freak, and Malarkey did look good for the little bit that he was standing up before he got the lights shut off. Um, I think he is a dog. I think he is legit. Um, Another Australia guy. He did have a lot of hype behind him. He did lose before losing to Naimov. He did lose to Jalen Turner. I do like Jalen Turner. I think he just needs to kind of sort some stuff out on his end. But going against Makdessi, who um, lost to Nasserat almost a year ago, and then he's got um, a win over Bahamondes, and then a loss to Francisco Trinaldo, and then a win by over Pinedo, and another win over Ross Pearson. I think Malarkey is legit. I think he's got heavy hands. He's going to be taller. He's going to have a huge reach advantage. I think almost 6 inches, and I think he's gonna put him out. Malarkey's 16-6, not the best record, but he's also got 10 knockouts and 3 subs. I think he's gonna go out there and put his lights out. I really, really do. I'm pretty firm in that, especially going against a guy when I just said he's 16-6. The other guy, Makdessi's 18-8. So I think he can do it. It's gonna be a huge crowd, huge advantage, and and this guy's already been knocked out twice, so we know what can happen. Hopefully, we can get a win here from Malarkey, but this guy is just a journeyman in the UFC, and I think they really want to get some more hype behind Jamie Malarkey.
Yeah, I'm on the same page here. I think Malarkey is kind of, if you remember a couple cards ago, the Billy Goff style, just kind of the junkyard dog. He gets in there,
Yeah,
he's gonna get in your face, he's gonna hit you with some stuff up close. And if your chin is not what it used to be, which I believe that Makdessi's chin is not what it used to be, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it come end of the first, into the second. You're gonna be feeling those punches a little bit heavier than what they actually are. So for me, I think Malarkey's gonna put him away too. think it's gonna be one of those clinics. He walks him down. He maybe takes a little bit of time at the beginning of the first, but by the end of the first, I think we're gonna be able to see what's going on and what's about to happen for the rest of the fight. And then at that point, I think it's just gonna be Malarkey chasing the finish. I think this is one of the easiest fights to fight, or one of the easiest fights to call on the card. I think out of them all, Malarkey is kind of the guy that I think should get it done. And Makdessi, I know a lot of people, he's a vet. He's good underdog this week according to a lot of people, but I don't see it. Malarkey in his home, of Australia slash New Zealand. He fights out of a gym there. Yeah, I think it's easy. I think it's easy to
I mean,
call.
he hasn't finished someone since Shane Campbell in 2015.
I think that
So
changes.
I don't. No, no. You think it changes for McDessie?
Wait. Oh, you're talking about Magdesi. I thought you were talking about Malarkey. I was like, huh. I think
Oh, no, 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 no.
Malarkey
So
finishes
McDessie,
everybody.
that's what I'm saying. He either finishes you or he gets finished.
Yeah.
So this McDessie hasn't had a finish since 2015. He's not getting any younger. He's on the wrong side of 35. So he's 38 years old, facing a guy that's um 29, so 9 years younger, right?
Yep.
Um, I age is there, the height is there, the reach is there. Fighting out of Australia, the home crowd is there. This should be a slam dunk for Malarkey. I like this ending by uh, Malarkey by finish knockout.
I'm a fan. I like it too. All right. We got a fun fight coming up next. I'm going to let you kick this one off too. This is my boy that I just won that weird split decision on. Jack Jenkins versus Chepe Mariscal. You got any
Yeah.
hot takes here?
Um, Other than this is in that round robin, man. Um, Jack Jenkins is legit. Jack Jenkins is really legit. This is another guy that the UFC, I think, really wants to push, um, especially coming out of the contender series. Granted, he did have that split with Jamal Emmers, um, but he's going up against Chepe Mariscal, who just took a decision win over Trevor Peak. He before that he was in LFA, and then some Combate. Combate is actually pretty legit. That's I want to say it's Mexico. I'm not 100%, but I've seen some of those promotions. They're pretty good. Um, but then using Cage Warriors, so he's been kind of all over the place. Um, I just they're pretty even when it comes to age. Um, Chappie has a little bit more experience, but the heights are the same. The reaches are pretty much the same. Chappie is a elevation fight team, so I do like that. That he's fighting at elevation, but I think the hometown crowd and the performance that these guys are going to put on their home soil is going to put them in another gear. And I think Jack Jenkins should edge this one out. And I don't think it's actually gonna be particularly close. I don't think it's going to be another split decision. To be honest with you, I think they're giving him this fight to kind of get the ball rolling a little bit more.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that last fight was he probably should have lost. It was close. It was real close both ways. Everyone cried robbery on Twitter, but that's kind of the thing nowadays. People just decide to yell on Twitter when they lose their bets. But So every card we try to find a few dogs, a few dogs that can pay their price. And I think here Chepe is one of those guys. I don't have a bet on him. Just to be completely honest right now, I'll look at weigh-ins and see. But I think the price here is definitely worth a bet because if we go back, let me look at the price real quick just to make sure I have the exact money line on this. To be completely honest, the reason I like Chepe here, so he's plus 170, so same price pretty much. The reason I like Chepe here is in that last fight with Trevor Peek, he showed a real nice evolution on his striking, and the guy has fought who's who when he was in the LFA and the HFC. He beat Pat Sabatini, who we know is a fucking dog. The guy beat Yusuf
Yeah,
Zalal. The guy lost to Joe Anderson Brito, who nowadays you head over to his page. Dude's on a 3-fight win streak. Beat Andre Fili. Beat Diego Lopez.
yeah,
So I mean, the guy has fought some really good fighters, and those were in 2018 and 2019, so 4 or 5 years ago, so a while ago. But there's still those guys, and his losses: Joe Anderson Brito, Steve Garcia, who's on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC, Sean Soriano. That's his worst loss, and that's a UFC caliber fighter. That's a guy who's in the UFC. So it could be a lot worse for Chipe here. And I really liked his last fight. And that's kind of what pushed me over the edge here is Jack Jenkins' last fight. I thought he looked a little lackluster. And I had a bet on him. So when I cashed that, I was, ooh, thank goodness. But had a bet on him. Thought he looked lackluster. Chepe, on the other hand, looked like a fucking badass in his last fight. Trevor Peek brought the fight to him. He brought the fight right back. So I'm going to go with the dog here. Plus 170. Give me Chepe Mariscal here. If I have a bet on it, we'll see. It's not one of my hot take or not hot takes, but high, probability bets or high confidence bets. But that'll be my second dog here.
yeah. The only thing I don't like, and I think the advantage here is going to be huge for Jack Jenkins, is that it's in Australia. Both these guys just fought 2 months ago,
Yeah.
so that's going to be the concern of going through another camp, right? Um, Going through another camp. Granted, he just finished a fight, so it's not going to be as long. But then he's got to travel all the way to Australia, whereas Jack Jenkins just has to drive to the arena, to the venue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From his own home, sleeping in his own bed, he's comfortable. In his, it's a lot different, especially when you're going to another country. So I think the home crowd here is going to be a huge thing for Jack Jenkins. So uh, yeah, I'm all about it, man. I'm all in on Jack Jenkins. When I say all in, I'm saying with my heart. With my heart, I'm all in.
Fair enough, man. I mean, I'm a Jack Jenkins fan. I really love the guy. And he also doesn't look anything like this photo anymore. This guy looks like a Ken doll from Barbie, but Jack Jenkins does not look like that anymore. He had a big old mustache. He had like a mullet. He's got some
Yeah,
tats. I can't remember if he has tats or not, but dude's a badass. I love watching him fight. That one fight, which was that? Was that Don Shanis? That fight was fucking awesome. He was throwing some combos in there that were almost, some new age Muay Thai stuff that we don't see in the UFC very often. So I was a fan of the guy.
yeah.
All right,
So
Tim.
this one, this one right here, this is another one of those. What are we doing here? So we got Carlos Ulberg versus Da Un Jung. Um, Ulberg is
The sexiest
is
man in the UFC, Tim. That's what
he
that's
is
what Ulberg is.
he's coming off a 4-fight win streak. Three of them are finishes, and he is just lighting people up, knocking them out. Um, he kind of took a turn after that. Kennedy and Njoku lost. He kind of wrote the ship. Got a nice decision win over Sharon, and then he finished Tafon and Chukwi, um, Nurga Maranu. I don't know how to say that, and then Poteria. Um, I had actually had money on Poteria, to be honest with you. Um, but you can't. I don't think he's fadeable, and especially going up against Jung, who just lost a decision to Devin Clark, and before that, he got knocked out by Dustin Jacoby. I mean, MMA math says that since Jung beat Kennedy and Joku, and Ulberg lost to him, MMA math is saying that Jung should win this fight.
MMA
But I,
math sucks.
but it works.
Sometimes.
Um, more times than not. But I think this is the one case where it's not going to work. New Zealand guy, pretty even on the height, the reach. Jung is a little bit younger, 3 years younger, but I think Ulberg just has that power. I think he can carry that power. City kickboxing guy. Um, it should be lights out. 1, 2, 3 for Jung. So I think Ulberg by knockout here is going to be the play. I don't think you could take a money line, to be honest with you. Um,
Be a parlay anchor, maybe.
yeah, but I think he should finish him. And he's also obviously in my round robin, if I didn't say it before.
Yeah, man. I think this might. We'll have to talk, but I think this might end up being our lock. It's just Ulberg minus. I think he's minus 260 right now. When I just looked.
But is that a lock though? If it's minus 260.
I don't know, man. That was we had. I mean, if we do lock and dogs, then I feel like it gives us a little bit of room with the lock. We did Giga when he was like minus 260. Um, or minus like two, maybe it was 230, 240, something like that. But I just don't see Oldberg losing this. Daun Jung, he's young and he can make a lot of improvements, but he also half the time looks like a decent fighter and half the time looks like he does not belong in the UFC. Like his last two fights, it was borderline would not make the PFL playoffs type shit. And I think
Oh,
Billy Bob down on the corner who smokes meth with his friends on the weekend, has a shot at the PFL playoffs nowadays. And Daun Jun was not making the cut in that last fight. When he fought Devin Clark, he looked like he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. It looked like he stumbled in there after, maybe a week of hitting pads, hadn't sparred in 3 months. And then you go back, and I watched his fight against Kennedy, and I watched his fight against William Knight, and I'm like, oh, this dude knows how to fight. So I don't know what happened in that fight against Devin Clark, but regardless, I like judging you on your last fight, a little bit heavier than the fights before. So I think Olberg goes out, takes his head off early. And if you're a Daun Jung supporter, you're going to have to be betting on one of two things. One being he goes for takedowns, which we haven't seen except for William Knight. He took down William Knight. That was it. And then two, he extends Carlos Ulberg. But Carlos Ulberg didn't look terrible extended. Kennedy put a crazy pace on him, and so he looked a little bit tired. But all things granted, I mean, do we know if he's going to gas out? It's a 3-round fight. He's at City Kickboxing. He's a kickboxer. I don't know. And so you're betting on a lot of things that I just don't think are rock solid. So for me, I think it's Ulberg. I think it's Ulberg by knockout. And if I had to put a round on it, I'd say early. And if I had to put a minute on it, I'd say first 2 minutes of the fight. I mean, this is one
Yeah,
of those Diego Lopez situations where I'm thinking this guy might steamroll him 90 seconds in.
yeah, and to be fair, when he fought Kennedy, that was his UFC debut.
And Kennedy's a tall task. Kennedy's a borderline top 15, top 20 guy.
So, he just got starched. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, but trying to make a good impression. You're on your first UFC fight, right? You're on the Izzy and Jan card, so there's a lot of pressure. So we'll see what happens. He always fights. He always fights on the Izzy cards. So I think after he got that first one out of the way, um, he's good to go now. I think that's what it was. That's his only loss, and I think that was in part due to nerves, man.
Yeah.
Um, we see what happens when these people get into the bright lights and the amount of pressure. You're trying to show how good your gym is, and especially when there's so much eyes on city kickboxing just from the people that are on that roster who train there. So it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's gonna come out and show out here. I really do. Oh man. All right, Tim. This is this is my first actual bet of the night. This is the first fight that I have a bet over, over $50. I have a couple of these like twenty
what
five
a
dollar.
weird what a weird first bet.
This is the first
So
bet, man.
we got Tyson Pedro versus Anton Turkalj. um I'm just gonna get it out there. Australian guy, he's on um that round robin. He did just come off a loss 6 months ago to Modestas Bukauskas. Um, but before that, he's got a win over Harry Hunsucker and Ike Villanueva. He stopped Ike Villanueva, and then a couple um, losses prior to that, but that was a while ago to Shogun and OSP. But on the other side, you have Anton, who just had a loss over Petrino, and Jalton Almeida, who we can't fault him for that. But before that, he was just on Contender Series and then on the European regional scene. Um, I think Tyson Pedro is going to do it here. Guys are big boys, same size, height, reach. Um, he's fighting out of Lions, and I believe that's the same as Tui and some of the other guys on the card. I just think Tyson Pedro is gonna get it done, and the Pleasure Man is gonna get stopped. Um, I think it could be a submission, or by finish, or I'm sorry, by KO. So I'm thinking a finish here, and I think he get done, man. I don't think the Pleasure Man is gonna be having too much pleasure in there.
All right, I'm gonna sit up for this one. I'll just let you know, Tim. After the fight, the Pleasure Man will be there for you. You're gonna be in a very impleasurable state, but I think he's still gonna have a little pleasure to go around for you. Our boy, not our boy, my boy, in the Pleasure Man, Turkalji. I mean, that guy went out there against Jalton Almeida, a weight class down, got fucked. He didn't do any pleasuring there, which is fine. Jalton Almeida, future champ, guy that I have a absolute hammer of a bet on against Curtis Blades. And then he goes out there and puts on a banger. I don't know if you remember that fight, Tim, but an absolute banger against
Yeah.
Vitor Petrino. Back and forth. If it was not such a shitty fight, low on the card, we'd be talking about it as, one of the better fights on the card, one of the better fights of the month. Came the end of the month. It was a banger. And that really, really made me kind of second guess this Alton Turkology guy, who I thought was just a lamb put out for slaughter for Jalton Almeida. I thought they brought him in. He was going to lose a fight. They were going to kick him back out. They put him against Vitor Petrino, and I thought, wow, it's happening again. This guy's just their battering ram. And then he puts on a display of heart there that I didn't think could come out of the Pleasure Man. The guy is kind of a weirdo. The guy is kind of a little bit of an odd duck. If you can't tell by his nickname and his picture here on Tapology. The guy has heart. He took Petrino's back, and Petrino's a high-level grappler. He had his back multiple times. He was on top of him multiple times. And Pedro, on the other hand, for me, in that last fight, looked awful against Modestus Bukauskas. What the fuck? How do you say that guy's name? Modestus Bukauskas. Looked awful. And before that, he beat Henry Hunsucker, who is really bad, and then Ike Villanueva, who is also really bad. So for me, I think the Pleasure Man's going to go out there, and I think this is going to kind of be his coming out party of being able to stick around for a few more fights in the UFC. He's 27 years old. Tyson Pedro's 31, almost 32. He'll be 32 not come fight night. He'll be 32. His birthday, let's see what this is. His birthday is sometime next week, so he'll be 32 next week. And for me, Tyson Pedro's last fight, big red flag. Tyson Pedro's career hasn't really had any high caliber wins. Granted, Alton Turkology hasn't had any high value wins, but he's the underdog here. I think he's the emerging guy. He's the guy we just saw put on a fight against a guy who people think is a future top 10 guy, who is Vitor Petrino. The guy is, he came off Vitor Petrino, won another fight recently. People are talking about him being, next big thing. So we'll see. Alton Turkology, he's my first bet of the card. He's my third underdog pick here, and I'm feeling pretty hot about it. This is one of my spots for the card. I think if you're betting Tyson Pedro, you're betting for a first round knockout, because I think that's when he's going to get his work done, is the first round, and I think he has to knock him out. I don't think he can submit Turkology, and I don't think he can win over 3 rounds. So Tyson Pedro, first round knockout. If he does that, then I'll man up to it and I'll say, he got it done. I didn't think he was going to. He got it done. But if it goes out of the first round, I really like Turkology's chances. And like I said, Tim, Turkology won't forget about you. He'll be ready to pleasure you after the fight, man.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he chokes out Anton. To be honest with you, um, he's a decent grappler. So
I don't
here's
see it.
here's you. Well, he's got 5 sub wins, and 4 knockouts. All of his wins are by finish. Um, Here's the thing, though. You know who they bring in. Um, Granted, he's not with City Kickboxing. He's with Lions. Um, but you know who's floating around that area, and it wouldn't surprise me if they go in and call up Craig Jones, or any of those guys and get the grappling. So it's not giving me any information on any of the coaches at Lions. Um, but I don't know, man. I think anybody in that area is calling up Craig Jones, if they're at this level and grappling. Um, so that's what it's going to give me the the poise to kind of say that I think he could submit Anton. I'm surprised you don't think. I mean, we've already seen he already got choked out by Joel Almeida. I'm not saying it's the same. They're the same guys. Um, but it's possible. It's a very good possibility.
I just like Sarkalji's grappling in the UFC. I think, as much as he got destroyed by Almeida, Almeida is, a top level guy. And when we saw that, watching his fundamentals, he did pretty fucking well. Eventually, Almeida just, overwhelmed him and just was too much and too big for him. But Turkalji, he held his own for a while there against a heavyweight grappling. So I don't know. For me, I don't think Pedro has the chops to get many submissions at the UFC level, and I think Craig Jones has bigger fish to fry. Even on this card, I think Craig Jones has got a few too many fish to fry to be caring about Tyson Pedro. And I kind of think, honestly, I think this might be pink slip both guys sort of a fight. I think Tyson Pedro loses out of the UFC. I think Turkalji loses out of the UFC. And I think that's going to weigh a little bit heavier on the guy who's 27 years old, has only had 2 fights, and his 2 fights in the UFC have been against potential, future title contenders. And Pedro, 5 fights in the UFC, 32 years old. He might not be, as motivated to get that bounce back as Turkalji. But again, I don't know either of these guys, so I could be talking right out of
I
my
mean,
ass.
yeah. And listen, here's the thing too. Anton lost exhibition grappling match to Alexander Gustafsson. So I don't know if you ever watched Alexander Gustafsson. He's got 3 subs in his record. So it's not like he's out there. He's gonna get choked out. That's pretty much what I'm saying to you.
All right.
So if Gustafsson choked him out 3 times, and he's 50-50 on winning by submission and losing by submission. He's got 3-3. Um, he's not that guy.
All right, Tim. Let's do this then. If Pedro submits Turkalji, we'll just fucking fuck around. I'll send you $10. If Turkalji submits Pedro, you send me $10.
Yeah, that's fine. How about a bag of coffee? We'll do a bag of coffee.
All right, bag of coffee on it. But if nobody gets submitted, no bag of coffee, because we're only talking
Okay.
grappling here.
Yeah,
Watch
that's
Pedro
fine.
pull guillotine in like 14 seconds and fucking submit him, and I'll send you the shittiest Dunkin' Donuts $4 bag of
Oh,
coffee you've ever gotten, Tim.
oh, oh.
if he pulls a legitimate decent submission, I'm gonna head down to the Adventure Coffee and buy you a fat ass nice bag of coffee. But
He will. He's gonna rear naked.
rear
Gonna
naked
sink it
him.
right
All right,
now.
fair
Yep.
enough. Fair enough. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. This fight sucks
Um,
for a main card fight, man. This is an awful fight for a main card fight. I get why they're doing
yeah,
it
but
though. Tafa, Australia.
yeah, let's throw it together. This is remember that eye poke? That eye poke was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was
Um,
really bad.
so they're kind of just resetting it up. So it's like you said, it is Australia. Um, I think honestly, this should be Justin Tafa um, all day by a knockout. Um, one of these guys is going to sleep. I just really, really think it's gonna be Austin Lane. So not much for me to say on it. We already saw how this was gonna play out, and then we got the eye poke. Um, I'm going with the Australian. He's younger by 6 years. He's in my round robin. He is much shorter, being 6 foot. Lane's 6'6". Lane does have that reach advantage of 6 inches, but Tafa's just gonna get in there and get nasty. And I can see him finishing him.
Yeah, man, we haven't got to talk about Junior Tafa yet. That was 2 weeks ago, and we haven't had even a chance to talk about that. I don't want to take away from Justin Taffa, but Junior Taffa, man, that shit had me next level when he beat the brakes off of Parker Porter in Singapore. Wait, was
Yeah,
that in
that was a
Singapore?
good.
That was in Singapore.
Yeah, that was a good moneymaker, man. That
That was
was
my
that was
fat. That was my fat. I needed him by knockout in like 5 different parlays, and they all hit with him by knockout, and it was the best feeling at 4:30 a.m. I've never. I sent you a picture of me actually running around my fucking house.
yeah, that was brutal. You
Yeah,
know what?
dude.
Last week was brutal too. Like I told you before, I'm glad we can complain now that these cars are going to be later at night because
Yeah,
we complain they're so late at night, but then when it's at 4:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, it's like, oh man. Even when they're early at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon
I
on the
hate
Saturday,
those ones, man.
it's tough. Like it seems nice, but they need to do that shit when there's snow on the ground in the middle of the winter when nobody's doing anything outside.
Yeah, dude. I liked the early morning one because I got to watch the entire card before my wife woke up. I didn't have a single "Hey, Anderson, come in here and grab this for me." So, there was no shit like that. It was just fucking complete coffee, silence, and running around whispering, "Let's go," when my guy won, that sort of a
Yeah,
deal. But
yeah, yeah,
those midday ones, it's like I get roped into going to the mall or going to the furniture store or going to whatever the fuck it is. But here, I think Austin Lane kind of sucks, if we're being honest.
yeah.
I wouldn't say it to his face because he's 6'6" and I'm only 6'5" and a half. So I wouldn't say it to his face. But yeah, I think also the other thing we haven't really taken into account is Junior Tafa is 6'4" and trains with Justin Tafa every single day and probably has better striking than Austin Lane. And if
Yeah.
anyone's going to be doing clinch or, any sort of grappling, it's probably going to be Justin Tafa here. So I'd say Justin Tafa's got the advantage, grappling, clinch work, and then he has the training partner to emulate Austin Lane. So I think Justin will have him covered pretty much everywhere here. I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Lane knocked him out. Like it wouldn't surprise me if he caught him and just finished him because we've seen Justin Tafa, in some spots before. Vandera beat him and Carlos Felipe beat him. So I wouldn't be surprised, but it's not going to be my lock of the week. I wouldn't feel comfortable with this one as the lock, but I'm cool with Justin
Yeah.
Tafa here. I think
But,
he's gonna
but
roll.
here's the thing. He's been finished once, but that was by Jorgen De Castro. Um, Jorgen De Castro is I don't know if you have seen him. I think he's in the PFL now. I want to say.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, he's in the PFL now. He fought Junior Dos Santos in Eagle FC. Maybe it's not Jorgen. Maybe he's not the one I'm thinking of.
That knocked
But
Justin Tafa's head off.
no, no, he did. He definitely did that. But I thought he had um, a couple other wins as well. So we'll scratch that from the record. He did shit. His only win in the UFC was Justin Tafa. That's terrible. And he didn't even win in the PFL. Yeah. I really thought he fought.
I think you're talking about Carlos Felipe. He had a few good UFC wins.
No, I want to say it was. I thought it was Jorgen De Castro. Maybe not. But yeah, he's. I mean, I think that was a tough one for Tafa anyway. Was that his that might have been his debut. Um,
Yeah, it was. He was 2-0. Bro, what is with these Tafa brothers getting fights in the UFC when they're fucking 2 or 3 and
yeah,
0?
yeah. And then one more thing, look at Australian guy, right, fighting on the Izzy Whitaker card.
Yup.
There's so much pressure. It's their first fight, so yeah, I think he's gonna steamroll him. lights out. Tafa's gonna finish him, uh, and that's it. That's it. I think he was gonna finish him last time. I thought Tafa looked pretty decent. And then he got that now guy. So now he's gonna be pissed. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna bite down and he's gonna kind of put him to the shadow realm, get him out of there.
Yeah, man, I'm on the same page. This Austin Lane guy, I mean, I won't have much money on this, so if this Austin Lane guy surprises me, maybe I'll think about betting him in the future. Or if he like somehow sneaks a victory and looks fucking awful, then I'll absolutely hammer against him. But Tafa's the guy here who's flipping things around. 2 fight win streak, 29 years old. Fighting the guy who's 35 years old, almost
Yeah.
36. So Tafa's got it all going for him here, and he looked good, like you said, in the early going of that last fight. Oh, man. I'm going to preface this by saying I fucking hate Manel Cape. I fucking hate that guy. Like, he's just, I think he's an absolute attitude problem in the UFC. Like, borderline Yair Rodriguez style, where he, like, yelled at Michael Bisping in the middle of the octagon for no reason. Manel Cape gives me the same vibes. Like, dude is constantly crying about stuff in the octagon and like mad about shit. And I was real happy when Pantoja beat his ass in that fight. Pantoja is my boy. Pantoja is my 125 hero. So, Manel Cape, you're not my favorite fighter, but it is what it is. Tim, do you have any? You taking the underdog here? I know you like shootbox, Brazilian young
Yes.
guy. You are. Let's hear it.
Um,
I'm excited to hear this.
I think this kid is legit. He's kind of all over the place. So he's 7-0, two knockouts, three subs, and two decisions. He's in the LFA or was in the LFA. He got a decision win um, over this guy Hugo Paiva, um, who's pretty decent. At the time he was 6-1, um, knockout artist. So I think I think the whole thing isn't so much with this prospect that they're bringing in. Um, it's more of Manal's record. So Felipe Santos 7-0, legit. I think he's going to be a good prospect. Young, 22 years old, um, and he's a little bit taller. Uh, like you said, shoots a box guy. But Manal Cape is he's got to win over Odie Osborne, who Odie Osborne fell off a cliff, man.
Big
I don't
time.
know. I don't know what happened with Odie Osborne. Zamagulov. When's the last time Zamagulov won a fight?
Probably
He's he was
2010, dude.
and David Dvorak. He's got a win over. I don't. I don't know. I like you said. He's got the attitude problem. He's on a 3 fight winning streak. 18-6. I don't think he's as good as he thinks he is. He isn't sure though. He does have 16 um, finishes. Um, he was in Ryzen, now he's in UFC. I mean, he is good. He is good. But the fight in Zamagulov in 2021 when he fought Odie Osborne, he missed weight. Um, Dvorak isn't anything special. And I don't know, man. He should win no problem with the experience. And when he fights guys that aren't a Pantoja or Nicolau, he can win. But I just want to go with the prospect. I mean, it's too much of a lovely line here. Um, what's Dos Santos at? Because right
Um,
now he's got to be close to plus 300, right?
he's plus 310 right now on the money line.
Yeah, I take a flyer on him. Um, I'm just not a Manel Cop fan.
Here's the other thing, bro. Manel Kape lost to Alejandro Pantoja, Brazilian. Lost to Nikolai, Brazilian. We've got the Brazilian Brotherhood coming after Manel Kape here. So I don't know. I don't like the guy. And I got this gut feeling that this Dos Santos guy is legit. He's got that name, Felipe Dos Santos. Like, that sounds like some shit we're going to be talking about for a few years. He's going to be 23 next week. Young guy. He's 5'7" for 125, which is not bad. And, like I said earlier, I fucking despise Manel Kape. So, I'm in. You convinced me. I was already on the fence about it, about being a Felipe Dos Santos truther this week. I'm already on some dogs. I got Chipe, I got Anton, I got Gabriel
Cheppy,
Miranda. I'm
Cheppy,
here,
Cheppy.
Chepe. I'm here for Felipe Dos Santos, man. I'm excited. I saw that he got a FaceTime from Charles Oliveira talking, represent us well. Shootbox baby, show them what Shootbox is about. So
Yeah,
I'm here for it. I like
yeah.
it.
I like that, Jim. I like Diego Lima as a coach. These guys have a really good brotherhood. And who was our last dog? Elvis Brenner.
Yep.
Remember
Who?
that?
Yep. Wasn't that the guy who fought Guram?
No, no, but he was a dog, and I was like, he's gonna do it, man. He's gonna do it.
And he
And
did
sure
it.
enough, he did it. So yeah, we're gonna roll with Dos Santos here. Small. Um, don't go crazy, but yeah, Dvorak, Zumagulov, and Odi Osborne are your last three wins. Not for me. Not for me. And it wouldn't surprise me if they're feeding him to Dos Santos to kind of humble him here. So we'll see. But yeah, I like Dos Santos small.
That's a crazy take, Tim, that they're feeding him to Dos Santos. I think the UFC wants Cape to win. I think they're like bonering about him, and I just think Dos Santos is going to be that spoiler. I really do.
Um, I don't think so because look how big of a star Charles Oliveira is now, and think of his team. Think of his team
True.
now like kickboxing team, where all those guys at the shoot to box, Diego Lima's that he's coaching. They all have the blonde hair. They all go fucking nuts. They all are in each other's corners. You know what I mean? That is city kickboxing um, 2.0. As far as I'm concerned, that's outside of the states. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. All
Oh
right.
man. Oh baby.
Yeah, you're gonna have to give me a minute to take a deep breath before we get into this one. This is gonna be my well, we'll get into that in a minute here, but this is the bet I was talking about at the beginning of this video. This is the bet I have. It's the same size as Sugar Sean O'Malley, and Sugar Sean was my biggest bet of the year, and it was by a good margin. Sugar Sean, I think it was 3 or 4 times every other bet, the other largest bets of the year, and this is the same size. I like the line. I think the guy I've got is the one who, is probably going to come out of this with their hand raised without much um, opposition here. And that guy is probably going to surprise some people. Ty Bam Tuivasa is my boy this week. And I've faded this guy. I have faded Ty Tuivasa many times in his UFC career. The only time I really cheered for him was against Greg Hardy because Greg Hardy's a piece of shit. But here it is. Tai Tuivasa's leg kicks are going to be big here. Alexander Volkov stands heavy on that front leg. Usually, he leans a little forward. He's crouched in his stance. The leg kicks are going to be massive. Tai Tuivasa almost took Cyril Gane's head off. And we've never seen
Yep.
anyone do that to Cyril Gane in the striking realm. Tai Tuivasa is that Mark Hunt reincarnated sort of a feel. He's got that vibe. He has the striking to back it up. The guy is a legitimate talent when it comes to boxing and kickboxing at this point. Obviously, Sergey Pavlovich, guy who's going to be fighting for the title next. Other than that, Cyril Gane is the guy. He drops Cyril Gane. If he hits Alexander Volkov like that, Alexander Volkov is not getting back up. Alexander Volkov is not weathering that storm. And I've been a Volkov guy for a long time, but this is Tai Tuivasa's fight, in my opinion, to put him into that upper echelon. He lost to Cyril Gane and Sergey Pavlovich, upper echelon guys. He needs that top tier win, and this is going to be it. Like I said earlier, Volkov has this stance where he's kind of like not using his length. He's a little bit, flat-footed, a little bit on that front leg, and a little bit head down. And I think it's going to lend perfectly well for Tai Tuivasa to catch him while he's kind of leaning forward. And guys, I'm going to be completely honest. I have never fought in an MMA fight, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm just kind of talking about what I think it looks like. And Alexander Volkov leans his head forward and kind of just keeps it in that area. And Cyril Gane, the reason that Cyril Gane was able to survive the big punch and not really get caught too many other times was he kind of keeps his head back and keeps a good distance. Volkov does not have as nice of distance management as Cyril Gane does. He doesn't have the footwork that Cyril Gane does. He doesn't have the lightness on his feet that Cyril Gane does. And Tai Tuivasa almost took out Cyril Gane anyway. And I think he's taking Alexander Volkov out, and I think it's going to be fairly quick, and I think it's going to be fairly brutal. I think Tai Tuivasa also has the upside in the clinch here. Volkov, decent clinch guy, but Tai Tuivasa is very sneaky good in the clinch. He has sneaky elbows. He's also sneaky good at controlling the clinch. But at his heart, this guy is a banger, as his name, Bam Bam. And I think he's going to get the knockout here. And it's my biggest bet of the year, right next to Sean O'Malley. So Bam Bam is basically going to make or break my card this week, and I'm 100% for it. If he loses, so be it. But Volkov, in my opinion, has looked like he's on his way out for a couple fights now. He won those two fights, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and then it was Alexander Romanov. Both those guys, I think, are also declining pretty heavily. Volkov almost lost to Marcin Tybura. It was a close fight. And I think that Tai Tuivasa is levels above all of those guys that Alexander Volkov has beat recently. So knockout Tai Tuivasa, bam bam, shoey's a shoe on the fucking cage. He's a bigger star than Israel Adesanya on this night. He cements his fucking legacy as a plus 210 dog. He's plus 210 right now.
Yeah.
I bet him plus 170. I bet him plus 190, I believe, and I bet him plus 205. Those were the three ads I had. And if we got to add one more, there's still a little money in that DraftKings. If we got to add one more and just make this the bet of the year for me, I'll do it. I think he's knocking him out, Tim. And I'm feeling fucking great about it, to be honest.
So just to start this, this is the last leg in the round robin with Tai Tuivasa. And this is going to be a case where you're going to agree with the MMA math, and it comes down to Derek Lewis. Volkov lost to Lewis, and it wasn't pretty. He got knocked out, but then Tuivasa knocked out Derek Lewis. So MMA math, it works in your favor on this one. Yeah, the fight with Romanov was weird. The one with Rozenstruik, that was weird too. But Jardino, I mean, I don't know. It surprised me in both those fights, because I thought for sure after the Aspinall fight, I thought Volkov kind of looked like he was kind of at a crossroads. but who knows? Maybe he's got a resurgence. But Rosenstrike has been on a skid, so you can't really um, dig too deep into that win. But when it comes to Alexander Romanov, that he just doesn't, like you said, he doesn't look um, all that good. Um, Granted, he's lost to the interim champ and then to a title challenger in Pavlovich. He goes in there, he goes to war. I thought he was going to finish Cyril Gahn, to be honest with you.
It was close.
I really, when he dropped him, I thought that was going to be it. Um, and we know the amount of damage that it's going to take to get Ty out of there. And I don't think Volkov possesses that power still. Especially being he's got the long arms and he's got the height. But at 35 years old, 34 years old, going against even though Ty is only 4 years younger, um, Volkov's been in wars, man, and he's regardless of Ty being knocked out his last two fights. Um, I think the Volkov's damage that he's taken in his career is gonna outweigh that, and Ty's got hammers, man. And I think he's gonna put him out. I think he's gonna put him out. I'm taking him by KO. I have a good chunk on him, so we'll see what happens. This is gonna be my resurrection from last week. I think we can get this done, and he's like I said, he's the last leg in my round robin, man. I'm pumped. I think he's gonna do it. Do a shoey. Place is gonna go nuts, and he's gonna get it primed for Izzy.
Yeah, man. I think Tai to Ivasa, this line is gonna go back as being real fucking silly. And we've said that before. Me and you have said that, about a few guys that this line is stupid. This line is gonna be silly. I
Yeah,
just don't see where Volkov is going to be able to implement power like Sergey Pavlovich did, or implement the heart and the footwork to come back like Cyril Gahn did. I think plus 200 is going to look like something completely out of this world. Come Sunday morning, after a couple Modelos wear off and after Tai Tuivasa, gets his hand raised and stuff, plus 200 is going to look like the steal of the year. He's going to land a
yeah,
few leg kicks. He's going to land an overhand right, Tim, and me and you are going to be dancing to the bank.
I know. The only thing that he's Volkov is so long. I get nervous with these long guys, but then at the same time, Ty knows he has to win. He's coming off of two getting knocked out twice in a row. He knows he has to win.
Yep.
Uh, the crowd's gonna go nuts. They're gonna support him. I think he's gonna get it done, man. I really do think he's gonna knock him out, and it's gonna be grandiose. So
I agree. It's gonna be that coming out moment in my opinion because Volkov's a tough guy. Volkov is it's gonna be his best win. If he gets a win over Volkov, that'll be his best win in my opinion. I think it's a better win than Derek Lewis. But
yeah,
we'll see. It's main event time, Tim. It's main event
this one,
time.
this one, oh man,
Does it
I
even
don't,
feel like a main event to be honest?
um, I don't know. I don't know what kind of fight it's gonna be. I don't know if it's gonna be a quick one, and Izzy just gets him out of there. I don't know if Sean is gonna fight smart. Uh, I don't know if it's gonna be close. I don't know what to expect with this fight. I have nothing on it. Maybe if it gets out of hand, um, the lines I might sprinkle a little bit of Sean by finish, but other than that, I'm not touching it because it seems bananas. Um, But when you look at it, how much did Sean fighting Pereira help him in that loss with the stand up for as long as it lasted? You know, Sean's the younger guy as well. Sean's the younger guy. He's a little bit smaller. Um, Sean can wrestle if he does choose to wrestle. Um, he's out of Team Quest. Team Quest. I don't think Sean doesn't get enough credit. Um, and I think there is a path to victory for him. Um, but it's gonna be so hard, man. It's gonna be so hard for him to do that. But I don't think we should be surprised if Izzy just goes out there and puts him away, pieces him up, and goes home.
Yeah, man. I think this is just one of those fights you have to talk about the odds more than you talk about the fight. Because for me, if I'm looking at someone who's minus 660, which is what Israel Adesanya is, I'm thinking about a guy who's fighting a guy who shouldn't be in the UFC, or a guy who's a top 5 guy fighting a guy who's not a top 20 fighter.
Yeah.
That's what I'd be willing to bet minus 660. Those are the guys that I would parlay at minus 660. But that's not the case here. We have
Yeah.
Sean Strickland, who has fought the who's who has beaten the Jared Cannoniers of the world. Let's look at Sean
Well,
Strickland's.
he lost to Jared Cannonier,
Oh, my bad, my bad. He beat Jack
but it was a
Hermanson. Yeah, I
it
thought
was
he
but it
beat
was
Jared
a
Cannonier.
decision, and a lot of people think he beat Jared Cannonier.
I thought he did, but it's whatever. He's fought the who's who. He's a top 10 middleweight in the world. That Alex Pereira loss was something that I think 9 out of the top 10 middleweights in the world have happened to them against Alex Pereira. Um, so for me, this is kind of just an auto bet, small amount on Sean Strickland. He's plus 470 right now on the money line. He's 32 years old. His path to victory, honestly, is blueprinting Alex Pereira pushing Adesanya up against the cage. Can Sean Strickland execute the combinations that Alex Pereira did to, number one, put Adesanya away, and then in the second fight, almost put Adesanya away? I don't think so. I don't think he can do it, but the opening is still there, and Sean Strickland is also well known for his pushing people up against the cage, having their back against the cage, and executing those combinations. I don't think he's Alex Pereira, but I don't think plus 470 is warranted at fucking all. We saw Jared Cannonier have a weirdly close fight with Adesanya. I know the scorecards are like 49-46 or whatever it was, but there were a couple
Yeah,
rounds in there that were like nasty close. That it was just leg
they're
kicks
they're
and against the
yeah.
cage.
And if Cannonier maybe did a little bit more, he could maybe have edged out a round or two.
Exactly, man. That's what I'm saying. And Sean Strickland, if he's gonna do one thing, he's gonna come forward. He's gonna throw his jab. And if he gets knocked out here, he gets knocked out. It is. Sorry, I got a little hiccup there. It is what it is. If he gets knocked out as a plus 470 underdog, he's supposed to get knocked out. That's the name of the game. If he gets knocked out, okay, that was what was supposed to happen. If he keeps it close, if he wins 2 rounds, if he wins 1 round, honestly, if he wins 1 round, then your plus 470 bet was a decent bet. You know, fuck it. It's a plus 470 underdog in a title fight of two top 5 guys in their division, top of the weight class, upper echelon. No one should be minus 660 against anyone in the top 5 of their division, in my opinion. Unless your name is like John Jones and you're fighting someone fucking stupid in your weight class, or if it's like Volkanovski versus someone else stupid. But Adesanya, in my opinion, is not that guy. Adesanya, if he ends up on his back in the 3rd round, I don't know if he's getting back up. You know,
Yeah,
Strickland has never wrestled, but
but here's the thing: you don't know what kind of Sean you're gonna get. If you know what I mean. This is the same guy that said, you know what, I'm gonna stand with Alex.
that's
I
what I
mean,
mean, man. This is also though, if we're looking at Izzy and Alex Pereira, similar fighters, similar skill sets. If Sean Strickland was plus 470 against Alex Pereira tomorrow, I'd be betting that again, just because it's Sean Strickland plus 470. I think you just
yeah,
have to. If he gets knocked out, I mean, listen, he gets knocked out. You fucking lost the way that he was supposed to lose, in my opinion. It's just plus 470 is too much, and I'll have to have it. I'll have like $40 on it or $50 or something just for shits and gigs to see if it hits, and if it hits, I'll be $200 richer. Is what it is.
yeah.
I think it's an auto. I just think it's one of those where you just have to.
I know. I think this could be a boring fight though,
I
because
agree.
I
Yep.
don't. Izzy's too smart to really put himself in danger. Um, in the same time, we saw when he fought Magomedov, Sean. He waited and he downloaded and kind of let a boost gas himself out the first round, and then start piecing him up and hitting him with that jab the second round. Izzy's not going to do that. So if they try and point fight, it'll be Izzy. He's longer, lankier. Um, but if Sean can make it dirty and mix in some takedowns, that's the whole thing. If he can mix in a takedown, that'll be huge. If he can finish a round on top of Izzy, that's gonna be very big. So we'll see what happens. I honestly I have no interest other than hitting a little sprinkle on Sean winning. Um, but you never know, man. Sean could do something crazy, and Sean could maybe catch him or knock him out. We'll find out, man. But there's so many different ways this fight could go.
That's what
Uh,
I'm saying,
um,
man.
um, I'm leaning heavily towards the boring Izzy by decision, and it's most likely 50-45 or uh 49-46.
Yeah, I mean that's also a high probability outcome. The thing too is we've seen Izzy show that he's not unbeatable multiple times. I mean, almost lost
Twice.
to
He
Kelvin
lost.
Gastelum.
Yeah, but
Almost
yeah,
lost to Kelvin Gastelum. That second fight against Robert Whitaker was like razor thin. Um, his fight to Pereira, the first one, he got knocked out. The second one, he was on his way to getting knocked out. So I think there's
that's the scary
openings.
part. That's the scary part for me is because when you think you're in control and you have him on the cage, Alex almost got knocked out at the end of that first round or second round, whatever it was in the
Yep.
first fight. Then he came back in the fifth round, knocked him out. And then in the second fight, the second round, it was the same thing. We're like, oh, yeah, this shit is over with. And next thing you know, Alex is sleeping on the ground.
Yep,
Um,
exactly.
that's that's the scary part. I can see Sean getting a little overzealous and overextending, and then you got that right hand from Izzy that just comes across and puts him out.
I do think Adesanya is gonna be able to leg kick the living fuck out of Sean. There's one thing Sean does not do. It's jag leg kicks. Like the guy does not care about leg kicks, which is insane. He stands so heavy on that front foot. I do think he's going to get leg kicked into another dimension. It's just going to be if he's able to walk through it because a lot of leg kicks are just, absorbing the pain. And Sean, the way he talks, man, he might not have a pain tolerance. He might be one of those motherfuckers who just, doesn't feel pain in real life the way he talks and says shit,
Yeah.
psychopath style. But I
Not when
think
you're going against a kickboxer of this caliber. This is a whole nother level.
Dude, his nickname should be Sean Psychopath Strickland. I don't know why
I,
no one has said that before.
I'll tell you what, we're recording this on Wednesday. I cannot wait until tomorrow when they do the press conference.
Dude, it's gonna be a 10-6 Sean Strickland. That's just guaranteed because Israel Adesanya never has good comebacks. Whatever he says, it feels like has been scripted in a Disney movie 400 times. He always say stuff like, I don't even have shit to. I don't have examples, but his whole freezy like Elsa thing. There's one example that was awful. It's just he always has shtick after shtick, which is terrible every time. It's always just awful stuff. Like his last fight, wearing a collar, wearing a fucking dog collar, and saying, "I'm gonna walk you like a dog." Terrible.
Yeah,
Hated it.
but then he knocked him out. So I mean, you can't take away from the guy. The guy he's an odd duck, but he is a phenomenal fighter. Um,
He's
but
slick.
Sean is just that. Oh man, he's in the wrong generation. He's like a '50s from the '50s guy from the middle of Missouri. You know what I mean?
Bro,
He's
he
a
might
down
he might
good
be
old boy.
Alabama if we're being honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Some Alabama type shit. Some kiss your cousin and chat up your aunt on Tinder. That sort of a dude.
He's a loose cannon though, but that's the whole thing. That's what makes him such a good fighter. I mean, he's 27-5. He's not a slouch, and he's lost, like you said, to Cannonier and Pereira. That's his last two losses going on. Um, in his last five fights, he's 3-2 in his last five, and he's had five fights in a year and a half. That makes me nervous too. But at the same time, he's staying busy.
Yep.
And I think that's all he does. All he does is train, man. He's not doing anything else, and he catches so much shit. Can you imagine if he becomes the 185 champ?
Yeah, bro. I mean, he becomes 185 champ. Hazmat's coming out of fucking retirement next weekend and fighting him in the
No, and that's
co-main.
that's the whole that's the whole other thing. DDP, he really fucked up, man. Because now is he saying if he beats Sean, he might fight the winner of Kamzat and Paulo Costa.
You know what I think about that whole situation, Tim? I think Hamzat did the worst possible thing taking this long period off between his last fight and this fight. He was on such a roll. He was such a world beater. Costa's not a slouch, man. And you're going to have to shake off a little bit of ring rust in this. I mean, and we saw Gilbert Burns stun Hamza in that last fight. And Gilbert Burns is a 155er at heart. He is a small 170 pounder. And now you're going against Paulo Costa, who's essentially a 205er
Yeah,
who weight
yeah,
bullies down to
no,
185?
no. But here's first of all, he looked like shit against Rockhold.
He did.
I
He
don't care
did.
what anybody says. He looked like shit against Rockhold. Um, Kamzat was also cutting down to 170 right when he fought Gilbert. Um, so we know that weight cut was a problem. So let's not pretend like that wasn't an issue. So he's got an extra 15 pounds, cutting down to 185. First of all, I don't even know if the fight's even gonna happen. I don't know if Paul's gonna make weight. To be honest with you,
I don't even know if
um,
they're both going to show up. There might just be a random pullout the week before, you know?
if somebody was, I think it would be Paulo, and I think they'd give Kamza a replacement, and then he'd steamroll whoever it is, and then he's fighting Izzy for the title.
In my opinion, dude, I think Hamzat finishes Izzy in the first or the second. Like, I don't think it's close.
Oh, dude, no, I'm taking that submission by submission or ground and pound. Oh, God, I would love for that. I would love to see the odds on that.
I think, dude, this is kind of scary to think about. I think Hamzat beats Izzy. I think Hamzat beats Pereira at 205. I think Hamzat beats Yuri at 205, and I think Hamzat beats Leon Edwards at 170. I don't know who beats Hamzat. I really don't. I don't know who beats him.
Because the thing is, all those guys you just mentioned, he takes them all to the ground. It's over.
That's what I mean. It's literally like he could almost get all those guys out sub 3 minutes, in my opinion. I think he's just a different. He's in a different world on the mat. Like him on the mat, it's gonna take someone like I don't even know if Colby Covington. It would take a Colby Covington style where he's not gonna get tired and he also is not gonna get submitted. That would be who it would take, but I don't know if there's anybody at 185 who can do that against him.
I think he was the best chance for the first ever three weight division champ. And now that he's staying at 185, um, or he's gonna fight at 185, I don't think it'll ever happen. I don't think he'll ever fight at 170 again. I don't think the UFC will let him.
Dude, he's 29. He should have. I mean, he's an idiot. He should have beat Nate Diaz and then gotten a title fight. That was as simple as it would have been. Just make fucking weight against Nate Diaz. You beat Nate Diaz in 1 round. Hamzat
I know.
Nate Diaz. It's fucking Nate Diaz. You beat him 1 round. You get a title fight next. You're fighting Leon Edwards at the end of 2023. You beat Leon Edwards. Then you move up. And at the early 2024, you're fighting Israel Adesanya after he beats Sean Strickland. You're a double champ. And then what can you do, bro? If you want to, you can go side quest. Alex Pereira, Yuri, whoever wins that, you beat the fuck out of them. You're probably beating both of them. Like, let's just be honest. You're probably beating both of them. Oh my
Yeah.
god, bro. That biggest
Here's
fumble of all time. Never hang out with Darren Till, bro. That's the thing. Never hang out with Darren fucking Till.
here's my thing. I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but that card, people pre-ordered that card like you wouldn't believe. For Nate Diaz's last fight, and especially against Chimaev, I feel like there's more to it than what we as the consumer are getting. Like no doctor has ever gone into somebody's room while they're cutting weight and say you got to stop. It wouldn't surprise me. The way this machine works is if UFC sent a doctor to go check on Chimaev and tell him to stop, and then you switch it out. Nate Diaz gets Tony Ferguson, who has a better chance of winning. Guarantees doesn't guarantee, but it has a highly better odds that Nate would come back to the UFC after he does whatever he's gonna do, box Jake Paul, and then do the Connor fight for UFC 300, as opposed to him fighting Kamzat. Kamzat beats the ever living shit out of him, and then they don't have the Nate Connor trilogy, which would break the bank again for UFC.
Nate
So
Connor 3 probably wins the award of highest pay-per-view of all time, to be honest.
you know how stacked that card would be if they headline
Yeah.
UFC 300. That card would be absolutely bananas, and it lines up with what the summertime, no?
Yep.
So
Maybe International Fight Week, who knows? That might be a little it might be a little earlier than that. I remember UFC 200, man. That was back in the days where me and my buddies we had about 6 of us putting $10 in, and that was still expensive for us all. We were getting cases of Mountain Dew, fucking 15 years old, cases of Mountain Dew, all putting $10 in, watching. I think a Donald Cerrone or something was on that card. That was the life, dude.
yeah, man,
All
it's
right.
it's it's come a long way. The just even the production, everything like that. So I'm super pumped for this card. Well, when I say super pumped, I'm super pumped for uh, Tui and to see how the main shakes out. More of a curiosity for the main, but
The
I'm
main
just
is
happy there's
sneaky, dude. It's almost like
I know.
Rockhold versus Bisbing back in the day. It feels a little sneaky like that. But
Yeah,
for every
yeah. Well,
fight, for every fight that we see that ends up like Rockhold versus Bisbing, there's like 10 of them that the favorite just steamrolls though. So
yeah. Well, But hey, it's a fist fight, man, and these guys are both pros. It could 50-50, like I said earlier.
Who are you
Each one,
thinking? Who are you thinking for your dog of the week and lock of the week?
dog's got to be tie, right?
Yeah, I think that's a consensus there. Me and you will both have tie.
And lock of the week, did we say Ulberg, right? Ulberg,
I'm
Ulberg,
thinking
or
Ulberg.
I'm down with Ulberg or Malarkey.
I like both of them. Dude, maybe lock of the week is the fucking parlay of them both.
Yeah,
I don't mind that at all. I think Malarkey gets him out of there, and I think Ulberg gets him out of there. I think they both get finishes. It's not a bad bet. I bet you. Let me check the odds on that. I bet you that gets even money. Let me just pull
I
this
would
quick.
I would go as crazy as saying Tafa, Ulberg, and Malarkey by finish by KO.
I'm not that far. I don't like Tafa that much. Yeah, dude. If we throw Malarkey and Ulberg together, it's -110.
Yeah, I would do that. I would do that. Lock of the week, Malarkey and and Ulberg.
All right.
You put Ulberg by KO.
I'd go Ulberg by KO for certain. I think he gets him out of there for sure. I bet you him
Ulberg
by
by Ulberg by KO and Malarkey just money line. That's
yep.
got to be, that probably puts it at plus something.
That's gonna be plus probably 140, 150 probably. I bet because the odds haven't come out yet. But there it is. That's the lock. It's gonna be Ulberg by knockout and Jamie Malarkey plus money on that parlay.
And then the dog, um,
Bam,
tie.
bam,
Oh,
dude.
you know what? I can tell you right now. I can tell you right now. I don't know why you don't get it. So if we have Malarkey, right, and
Yep.
then we have Ulberg, um, maybe Manel Cop. Oh, it's not giving it to me. All right. So mine are coming out. Like I have Ty by KO is plus 300 right now,
Tie by KO is plus 300. That's laughable. Our boy is getting that money.
which I don't understand because I have him by KO under 2.5, and I got it yesterday at, oh man, what is it? 285 KO under 2.5. So
Jeez.
they're swinging on Volkov. Money's coming in on Volkov.
No way, bro. I mean, yeah, money has come in because my first bet was like plus 170 for Ty. So yeah, money's coming in on Volkov.
That's fine, man. That's fine.
I'm cool with that too. I have no problem with that. You want to throw some money on Volkov? I'll throw some money on Ty. We'll get back and forth on it.
So,
All
but
right.
all right, but it was another good one, and we got some exciting cards coming up too after this now.
Yeah, we do. We got some real good ones down the line. We'll get to talk about John Jones again. Don't get to talk about him very often.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. And Tim, it was good.
Yes, sir.